Fired for taking time off after my dad died, I reported Company A's predatory practices. The government fined them over $10 million. This is an extensive account, but it is definitely worthwhile to read. Summary: my former job terminated my employment for taking, unauthorized, paid time off when my father died and failed to provide my severance. Consequently, I reported them to the federal authorities, detailing what I knew about their unlawful practices. The federal government imposed a fine of $10 million on them and nearly put an end to their business operations. Abbreviated version: by request, I was employed by a large short-term lending organization. Part of my responsibilities included reviewing loan agreements. Company A was exploiting the most vulnerable and financially uninformed individuals, whom they referred to as valued customers, by persuading them to sign short-term, exorbitantly priced loans through coercion, fully aware of their low income, which meant they could never repay the loan. They drained them of every dollar and then repossessed their vehicles. I was assigned to audit these loans and repeatedly discovered instances of predatory lending and unethical practices. I disliked the situation and instinctively began documenting the violations. Company A terminated my employment for taking too much time off to care for my father during his final days as he battled cancer. The company initially offered severance but later retracted it. I resolved to take action against Company A's dubious lending practices and, with the support of my former supervisor, reported them to the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. We provided the necessary information. The government took action, and they ended up facing more than $50 million in fines, along with expenses for legal services and loss of revenue. From that point onward, they continued to face numerous lawsuits for taking advantage of financially desperate individuals by providing loans with annual percentage rates above 280% without ever clarifying this to the clients. It feels fulfilling to engage in something honorable and witness meaningful change occur. I sincerely doubt I was the primary force behind it. Rather, I believe I was simply a piece of the puzzle that contributed to the overall outcome. Detailed version: this occurred in 2015 when I had recently lost my previous job. My father had just been diagnosed with cancer, and due to my less than stellar performance in channel partner sales, the company required me to start working weekends. Naturally, this was not feasible with my father's illness, so we parted amicably, no hard feelings. Unfortunately, I found myself unemployed. A month or two later, I was offered a great position with a large firm that promised a significant pay increase and a far better title. Naturally, I accepted the offer, but it required relocating across the country. It felt worth the move, especially since my father appeared to be recovering and his cancer was in remission at the time. I lived about 30 minutes away from my parents. My new employer was a major short-term lending company with over 1,000 outlets throughout the United States and was known for payday loans, title loans, and more. I was not thrilled about working for such a company, yet I believed individuals often made poor financial decisions willingly and that no one was forcing them to borrow. Important to note. My role at Company A primarily involved establishing partnerships to encourage referrals from those seeking loans but unable to secure a conventional bank loan. I quickly increased monthly revenue to over $1 million within a few months. Everyone appeared friendly, and the job seemed promising, except for one former military individual, whom I will refer to as Sergeant Ahole, who made sarcastic remarks about everyone, monitored the clock closely, and reported anyone arriving at 9:05 a.m. instead of 9:00 a.m., or leaving at 4:45 p.m. instead of 5:00 p.m. You get the idea. Part of my duties involved auditing third-party applications to validate the loans provided, including the loan balance and amount, to calculate the referral commissions for the affiliates. It was basic due diligence. However, I had to review the loan agreement and the related terms and conditions, and that is when I began to notice numerous alarming issues. Individuals on welfare or Social Security receiving loans against their vehicle titles with repayment terms they could never meet. Elderly women taking out personal loans against their Social Security payments to cover their grandchildren's school expenses. Heartbreaking situations. With a background in business finance and business law from my college education, I understood they were profoundly compromised the moment they signed that contract and would ultimately lose their only vehicle through repossession, being coerced into turning over their Social Security checks to meet their loan obligations. As such was stipulated in the agreement, truly dreadful circumstances. I began raising these issues with any executive or leader who would listen. They all acknowledged my concerns, but no changes were implemented. I believe we all felt deeply uneasy about the company's practices, but felt compelled to remain for the sake of our livelihoods. At this point, I instinctively felt compelled to document everything, even though I didn't know what I would do with it. It was just a strong urge I had. I remained on board and began gathering every shred of evidence I could find regarding how they coerced individuals, even those who were illiterate, into signing loans. I witnessed this firsthand multiple times while conducting store audits, where they employed the sleazy tactics typical of used car salesmen to finalize the loan agreements. Company deliberately failed to clarify that the 28% interest applied monthly, not annually, requiring borrowers to essentially close the loan every month if it wasn't fully paid, and to sign new agreements each month, carrying over the previous balance plus new fees, several $100s for new loans essentially every month, and overall fully exploiting desperate, financially naive individuals, fully aware they could never repay the loan. They would extract every penny, repo their cars, and sell them at auction or threaten to inform their employer about past due payments and garnish wages. Their practices were incredibly unethical and vindictive. I despised the company and its leadership who were aware of these practices and dismissed them as legal. I knew very well that they were neither legal nor ethical. I trusted my instincts and utilized a small handheld scanner to document every violation I came across regarding the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. I scanned the documents, saved them, and compiled them on an SD card at home. Fast forward several months to my upcoming birthday, when I had intended to take a week off to celebrate with my family, knowing that my father was gravely ill and this might be my last birthday with him. We had a great time, ranking among my top 5 family memories. We made the most of our time together. When it was time to return to work in the other state, I was reluctant to leave, but assured my mother I would return home immediately if she needed me. Upon returning from my time off, the following day, Monday, my mom called and informed me that Dad's condition is very serious. I approached my understanding boss, who urged me to prioritize my family and instructed me to go home and return when you are ready. He was an extraordinary person with a kind heart. He will always hold a special place in my heart for his response. He recognized that work was not my priority at that moment. For context, Sergeant, a hole had been passed over for my boss's position. Instead, my boss received the promotion. From day one, Sergeant a hole was out to get all of us and was determined to secure that position by any means necessary. On the second day, Tuesday, back home, my amazing boss called to inform me he had been terminated. Apparently, Sergeant a hole had complained to the CEO and COO about my boss's relaxed management style and allowing me to leave without explicit approval, etc. Now, Sergeant a hole was my supervisor. My outstanding boss warned me that Sergeant a hole would likely terminate my employment when I returned, wanting to give me a heads up so I wouldn't be caught off guard during an already challenging time. He was truly a great person. I stayed through my father's funeral and then flew back to face the consequences of my return. 10 minutes into my reappearance, Sergeant a hole summoned me to his office, announcing I had violated company policy by taking unauthorized leave and that we needed to consult human resources. I explained the situation, father's passing, funeral, my mother's distress, etc. He coldly responded, "I am sorry that happened, but company policy does not excuse this situation." The HR representative expressed her sympathy that I had to be terminated by the COO, no less, and I explained that I had only been there for 4 months and had exhausted my savings relocating for the job. This put me in a precarious financial predicament. She assured me she would do her best to arrange some severance since I did not qualify for unemployment benefits after such a short tenure. Sergeant a hole interrupted, saying, "Well, you wouldn't qualify anyway. Your termination was due to non-compliance and excessive absences." I was astounded. The following day, HR called to inform me that Sergeant Ahole had contacted the COO to ensure I did not receive any severance. Suddenly, I was broke, 5 months into a 12-month lease, unemployed, and without my usual support, my dad, during such trying times. I had to sell the majority of my belongings, pack up, and return home to live with my mother. Now comes the moment of righteous retribution. I attempted to remain civil, but the new boss and executive team resorted to deceitful tactics. The moment of truth had come. I recalled the extensive database of incriminating conduct that violated Consumer Financial Protection Bureau guidelines, contacted my former boss for his insights and support, and learned he was eager to help. We formed a team. Over the coming weeks, we compiled a comprehensive file to present to the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau regarding Company A's unfair and predatory lending practices actions we had somewhat enabled, yet we had voiced our apprehensions and felt obliged to make things right. We realized we had been complicit in this dreadful situation, and it was the least we could do to rectify it. I entrusted everything I possessed to my former boss, now a teammate, and we provided the CFPB with all the evidence I had gathered from physical locations, the incriminating documents I had collected, and 2 detailed written statements of our concerns regarding company for their investigation, requesting confidentiality. We never received any acknowledgement and assumed our efforts would not yield results, but we felt we had done our part to correct a wrong we had been a part of. To our surprise, we later learned of thousands of consumer complaints against Company A, and my former boss informed me that our contributions aided in building their cases against Company A. About 5 months later, early 2016, my former boss called to inform me that the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau reached out and significant developments were underway. This led to a substantial consumer protection investigation into Company A, unknown to either of us at the time. However, several more months passed with no updates, and I figured they had engaged elite lawyers to resolve the matter quietly until June 2016. As I drank coffee and applied for new jobs at my mother's house one morning, I heard Company A's name mentioned while watching CNBC. I turned my attention to find out they were facing substantial fines, legal expenses, and effectively had to suspend all business operations pending the resolution of their case. Ultimately, they were fined nearly $10 million, incurred over $20 million in legal fees, and suffered around $50 million in lost revenue while the government halted their operations, all due to Sergeant Ahole. I later discovered from a former colleague that Sergeant Ahole had been terminated and made a scapegoat for failing to report employee complaints to upper management, although they were fully aware. I repeatedly informed the COO that our practices were likely illegal, yet they sacrificed Sergeant Ahole. To this day, they continue to face numerous pending class action lawsuits and regional government actions against them. On a personal note, things turned out significantly better for me. My mother was delighted to have me back home, as she faced immense difficulties following my father's passing. They had been married for 35 years. I utilized that time to learn a new career with better pay, one that I love, and I greatly appreciate my life after Company A. It felt satisfying to witness that despicable company receive its just desserts on behalf of everyone they deceived, defrauded, and wronged. As my grandmother wisely said, some miscreants sink while others float to the surface. Ultimately, they all get flushed. I was pleased to see this particular scoundrel meet its end. Ephesians 5:11 have nothing to do with the fruitless deeds of darkness, but rather expose them. And that is precisely what I did. Story 2. I discovered the universal magnetic fluid, learning to consciously emit my aura, my vital energy, controlling it for healing and euphoria. In 1776, a Swiss doctor introduced the idea of animal magnetism, a therapeutic method he utilized to treat patients suffering from illnesses by engaging directly with what he termed the universal magnetic fluid. This universal magnetic fluid corresponds to the contemporary notion of aura, which is an emanation that encircles the body of any living entity, often referenced in spiritualism and holistic health practices. What does aura signify or represent? Aura is a manifestation of your vital energy, a low-frequency, highly concentrated form of infrared radiation emanating from the center of your body all the way to your outer edges and beyond. When this occurs, the energy forms a field that radiates from and envelops you. It comprises your vital energy, emotions, thoughts, and aspirations. Given that your emotions can be associated with genuine colors, it is believed that your auric field also reflects those same colors corresponding to an emotion. Trained individuals or mediums with spiritual abilities may perceive these colors. You can learn how to deliberately project into your auric field to direct its energy, color, vibration, emanation. A straightforward explanation of how to sense your aura is to recognize that it manifests as an extraordinarily comfortable euphoric wave, which can be easily identified during experiences of goosebumps or chills from positive internal or external stimuli, such as enjoying a favorite song, reminiscing about a loved one, viewing touching scenes in films, engaging in gratitude, offering praise, or praying. The vital energy that forms your aura is comparable to what might be termed your spiritual energy, as your spirit, soul, astral body, etheric body, energetic body, emotional body, true self, is constructed from that same dynamic energy that is activated when you encounter it. In its neutral state, you unconsciously draw this energy through your breath, the food and beverages you ingest, as well as importantly through the thoughts you entertain, the actions you take, and the visual content you consume, all of which either emit or draw in bioelectric energy to amplify your foundation of this energy. That euphoric wave represents the driving force behind life itself. Other cultures have explored this energy in various ways, developing their unique applications and documenting their findings while coining different terminology. This energy triggers goosebumps or chills, rather than the reverse occurring. You can learn how to distinguish that exceptionally pleasurable energy from the physical sensation of goosebumps, and ultimately gain the ability to activate solely that euphoric energy whenever you desire, experiencing it throughout your being for as long as you choose. Aside from aura, this phenomenon has also been experienced and documented as the vibrational state before an astral projection, runner's high, chills from positive events, Kai in Taoism martial arts, prana in Hindu philosophy, during an asmr session, bioelectricity, life force, euphoria, ecstasy, organ, rapture, tension, mana, vayas, nen, intent, tummo, odic force, piti, freesaw, rua, spiritual energy, secret, fire, the tingles, on-demand quickening, voluntary piloerection, aita, spiritual chills, and many more yet to be uncovered, potentially with your assistance. It has been discovered that this energy can be used in various beneficial ways. Some applications are more biological, such as unblocking the lymphatic system meridians, experiencing euphoria ecstasy throughout your body, directing your spiritual chills to any area of your body, regulating your body temperature, inducing goosebumps, dilating your pupils, stabilizing your heartbeat, and alleviating stress or anxiety in your body using this energy, as well as internally healing yourself by accessing your hypothalamus at will. This post centers on elucidating how aura serves as another expression of your vital energy from your spirit, soul, astral body, etheric body, energetic body, emotional body, true self, aiming to disseminate this knowledge and assist everyone in understanding the various spiritual and biological discoveries, applications, and benefits that have been documented regarding the activation of this type of energy. Additionally, I have identified further spiritual applications, such as accurately employing your psychic senses, clairvoyance, clairaudience, spirit projection, higher self-guidance, visions from your third eye, through this energy, managing your auric field, manifestation, and energy absorption from any source, with even more to be revealed. If you aspire to learn how to harness this subtle energy activation for these purposes, here are 3 detailed tutorials that explicitly outline how to achieve just that. This post emphasizes the notion that aura constitutes another form of expression of your vital energy from your spirit, soul, astral body, etheric body, energetic body, emotional body, true self, aiming to spread this information and aid everyone in gaining insight into the various spiritual and biological discoveries, uses, and benefits documented regarding this type of energy activation. Through your conscious activation of your aura, you have the opportunity to empower yourself, acquiring the capacity to fully engage with all the discovered, reported, documented, and expressed spiritual and biological applications linked to the activation of your aura. It is worth noting that everyone experiences its activation at various points in their life. Some may dismiss it, while others recognize that there is something deeper at play. These individuals can often be found within the subreddit community r/spiritual-chills, where they share experiences, insights, resources, and advice related to this phenomenon.